Usually on the track.
Pop these trannies like a pilly, sissy, you a frilly, sissy at the con with the prissy sissies and them faggy sissies. You speak up and they stab and skissies, cream they panties, pissy, OJY, not a tranny, sissy, you a fan of sizzy on the E, dick in my George Gardner on my phone. You wanna fuck with no hard on, bitch, quit your deep ass modes, only stroke your bone alone, 45 minutes from the hormones, step your pussy up, or your dead name's on your gravestone. In matriarchy, when I'm transition, we gender abolition, Fauxy, don't talk right, they trying to get me first edition. All you do is misgender, man. I'll cut your tongue out like audition. So many pedals in the community, it's like the remix to ignition. I don't fuck with no new pose, only real hoes. Put my dick in the guillotine and I pass it to my bro. You get clocked in the bathroom and you call it Jim Crow. But I had my gold on me, I thought that they would never know. Some ramen identity
I love that so many people thought that was me doing the track, doing Turf Gang.
Right.
Like, oh my god, Karen.
They did. I mean, I don't get any credit.
Oh, I immediately said it's not me, please.
The whole point is that I'm... Whatever, just... Alright.
It works. You really sound like a real girl.
Alright.
Really?
Sort of.
Oh, okay. Alright, what episode is this? 6?
Who cares?
Alright, this is episode 65 of the TERFCAST. I'm Karen.
And I'm Fauxy.
And today we have a few stories. It's going to be a short one.
Hopefully.
Maybe. Yeah. See how much we talk about things. Alright, start us off. What's the big news?
Well, yeah, let's get right into it. The big news is that it is Pride Month, honey.
Happy Pride Month, Fauci.
Happy Pride Month. For you don't get to be proud. You don't get to. I get to be proud.
Yeah,
I get to be proud of myself. I've done so much work. I've achieved so much in my life. I have so much to be proud of. Whereas you're just a sissy.
Just a breeder.
You're the breeder. Whereas I am regal and I am an epic queen because people look at me and think I'm ugly and that's wrong.
I think, I would never include myself in Pride, despite having, a bisexuality. I would just never, ever include myself in LGBT.
You're into carpet munching, Karen?
Porque no las dos? No, I mean, but I'm married. I'm never going to. I should never say never, but no, not interested. Sounds porny. No, but I just don't have any ties to that community. I'm not oppressed on that basis, and it's silly to see all these fucking bisexual people, these non-binaries and essentially heterosexual relationships being like, I'm queer, I should be,
right.
If bisexual, I mean, it certainly belongs in the rainbow, but there's different kinds of bisexual people, and I'm the kind that's just not in the rainbow. I basically am straight. I'm totally fine saying that. Where's straight pride, huh? Where's straight pride? What happened to teaching people not to care what other people think? Now it's you have to care what other people think. You have to control what other people think.
Yeah. You have to be you must refer to me as such. You must not believe blank as such. That's what I'm so on that. I don't care what people think. Yeah. Wavelength. It doesn't always work.
No.
But
No.
it feels I feel so much healthier, not caring about that crap or knowing that it doesn't matter. Whereas it's just the complete basis of the entire LGBT movement right now. I'm gonna say it's the entire fucking LGBTQIANBP fucking plus fucking hold that shit. Like, it's just labels and labels and labels, and just like, it's because I think we really are like growing more solipsist. Like, you know, pronouns in the bio is like, how does that translate to real life? It doesn't, because social media and the digital body are such a huge part of our life now that, like, you know, we're forming our personalities around, you know, social media and the internet. And because we can, you know, control our stream of content and, you know, control what we consume so much, there's no more, you know, like, central journalist thing, like, you know, art criticism is dying. There aren't 5 TV channels anymore. You can pirate anything you want at any time. You know, you can curate your Twitter and Facebook feeds. It's like every experience is becoming more and more granular, individualized. Yeah. And, you know, that is contributing to all this Mogai fucking crap. It's not even just, you know, just like, you know, trans woman pronouns. You must view me as a woman in this way, in this way. You must think of me as a woman. Shit like that. It's not even just that. It's just it's the creation. What did we see today? Like, this is I didn't think to put this in dumb online shit. Well, I thought about doing it, but I thought, like, it's too much. But there's this. Here's a post in Transgender Support 30 Plus from Ian Imogen Thomas. Okay, this reads like a joke to me, but it's not. This is one of those things where it's like Poe's Law is manifesting in reality. Here's the post from Ian Imogen Thomas.
Transition Tuesday. Just because I wasn't born princess doesn't mean I have to perform princess better than the princess who is Princess Sis, 'cause I'm allowed to define what a princess is. So extraordinaire, the tiara that I wear. Okay, good.
I didn't even know it was a poem when I read it.
Doesn't sit up on my hair, it's inside of me. Princess is my gender. Don't call me she or her. The pronoun I prefer is Her Majesty. And this guy's transition is from a guy with a hat, smoking a cigarette and a beard, to a guy with no beard and no hair on his head. What is happening? Like, I feel like so, like, just ridiculous in, like how far is this gonna fucking go? Like, when is peak trans?
Peak trans now! Peak trans now! Like, Jesus Christ.
I know.
It's getting worse and worse. Like you can't, like, tell me, like, that shit, like, translates into the real world. I swear to God, I'm so scared that, like, I'm gonna run into one of these people, or they're gonna be hired at my work or something, and I'm gonna be like, what the fuck am I gonna do? Like, I guess I can shut up. What am I gonna do? I have trouble theying people.
I'm surprised that I still can be surprised by, like, something in trans groups. That there will be just something that is like, I can't believe somebody just posted that. I can't believe somebody believes that or thinks that.
It's like beardos. Like, how, like, what are you doing? Like, okay, I understand how early transitioners feel good about themselves. I understand that because they can see the changes in themselves because they have to see themselves every day. And so they get to see, you know, just little feminizations, and it's like, oh, yay, you know, like, yay, I get to blah. And, like, you know, they definitely overestimate that when they post pictures of it. I've done that. But, like, I understand that. What I don't understand is posting a picture of yourself with a beard and not taking hormones and posting it online and then saying, like, I'm a girl. Like, okay, like, these people don't even know about PCOS.
Right.
So what the fuck are you doing? It's just, people are just going insane. If I ever meet one of these people, I don't know if I'm gonna, like, you know, just turf out on them, or if I'm gonna be just like, I want to understand your mindset. Like, I don't want to, like, this is not judgmental at all, but I know, but like, even that, they're not gonna tell me, because they're gonna think I'm judging them, because I clearly think it's out of the ordinary. And there's like, you should see me as a normal woman. And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's impossible. It's very interesting just how invasive of the mind the trans movement is. Now, I understand, like, you know, you have to start thinking about, you know, black people, gay people a different way when they get their civil rights. But trans
it's built in
isn't about stereotypes of, you know, gayness, like, you know, like, oh, that gay guy's gonna fuck me, her, or like, oh, that, you know, black person is worth less than me in however many ways, they're, you know, violent or something.
Yeah.
It's about, you know, just the ontology of sex shifting. It's not about civil rights. It's about fundamentally changing the way we view sex and gender.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just the way, like, you know, it's not the way, it is the way society views sex and gender, but it's not as big a shift as the way feminism views sex and gender, which has been out of step with the way society views sex and gender for, well, it had been coming closer until at least the trans movement came. It's definitely, you know,
diverged.
Gone way off. Yeah, thanks to that.
Yes.
So in the last 10 years. But yeah, so that's it. Almost makes me think like that there's going to be like even more just like strange metaphysical things happening the more like we get invasive into the mind.
Oh, I've been thinking about that a lot.
Okay, go ahead, because this is still interesting.
Yeah, so I think about that a lot. I think about two different things. One is, you know, the year is 2021, Cory Booker is president, and we have, like, trans women can be anywhere they want. You can change your birth certificate by going online, and the government will pay you to do it. And, like, what gets fought next? What's the next step? You know, what are, like, the LGBT orgs and the human rights orgs? Like, what are they gonna, like, worry about next? Because, you know, a big reason why the trans stuff has so much money behind it is because after gay marriage was legalized, like, all these, you know, nonprofits, in order to keep getting funding and people keeping their jobs, they needed a new project. But the second thing that I think about all the time is, like, what can you apply this same logic to? And I think a big thing is, like, you know, you can just imagine, like, trans humans aren't human, you know, like,
right.
I'd be like, well, you know, they, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it's like future arguments about, like, androids and shit.
Right. Well, that still is,
way far out.
is different to me, but, like,
they're so interrelated, though.
Maybe a bit.
There's so
like,
many connections.
I definitely think race and sex are more oriented than a lot of people think they do. That's honestly where the white feminism argument comes from, is people not thinking that race and sex operate, you know, close together at all. But anyway, let's get back to Pride specifically. Now, we've kind of laid the groundwork before talking about the specific thing that I did want to talk about with regards to Pride. Is I want to talk about Pride branding and how this year brands have begun to really get into that fucking identitarian crap. Yeah.
Yeah.
The worst example that I saw was this makes me feel like a fucking boomer, but Budweiser UK tweeted out a bunch of Budweiser glasses that have a bunch of different pride flags on them. Let's go through them, shall we? This is the bi flag, okay. The asexual pride flag.
Oh my fucking god. Asexuality is not. Oh my god.
The pan pride flag.
Okay, you
gotta have
everybody.
That and the bi pride flag for some reason. The intersex pride flag, that's just fine. The lesbian pride flag. It has nothing to do with LGBT, all right, honestly. We're very happy about that. The inclusive pride flag, you know that fucking one with the black and the brown stripe on it? Yeah. Like, go fuck yourself. Like, that's just others POC. Fuck you.
Isn't that really weird though? Because isn't like a white triangle's bigger than everything else on it?
I don't remember it. It's not. I
just feel like even from like a design point of view, it's like.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Did you just make white people more important?
Yeah.
More central.
That's the transgender weird. Pride flag. Okay, that's at least in the acronym, like the original one. The non-binary pride flag. Now we're getting into some fucking crap. This is Budweiser. Remember, Budweiser.
So
let that fucking sink in. And the gender fluid pride flag.
Fucking god.
Gender fluid. And okay, no, the best part of these is how they explain what like the colors symbolize. Here's the one for the gender fluid pride flag. Pink is for femininity, blue for masculinity, while purple represents a mix of the two. Black represents lack of gender, and white stands for all genders. Okay. Before the obviously worst part that I'm about to scream about, black represents lack of gender and white stands for all genders. Okay, can you fucking differentiate that? No, nobody fucking can, because this is some fucking teenage, like, wonked out bullshit. But pink for femininity, blue for masculinity?
I mean, it's the same on the trans flag. And I just
just fucking stop for a minute and just, like, can we remember the very fucking basics of fucking even liberal feminism? I'm going insane here. We're keeping pink for feminine and blue for masculine? This is just so blatant. So fucking blatant how the fucking trans movement is so goddamn conservative. Mm-hmm. It's all over even the fucking imagery.
But then they'll just be like, well, you know, this is because they, like gender is a social thing, and like, they just have no, they want to change like who gets to play the game. They don't want to change the game.
You know what else is a social thing? Patriarchy. We live in a society, and the society is run by men. It is something that is not okay. I do not understand why you are fucking playing by those rules. You are a retard.
Is that one of the genders? Did Budweiser make a flag? Oh, yeah, that's my gender now.
I identify as a gender retard now, Karen. All right, my pronouns are der and her.
Speaking of having a bisexuality that I don't take advantage of for oppression points, I also feel that like when I read through the gender stuff and I try to turn my brain off to not think feminist questions about it, I'm like, yeah, okay, then I'm non-binary. Like that makes sense to me. I'm definitely non-binary because I'm not like the other girls.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, but that just, it's like so meaningless to me. Like, it just means women. I have it just divides women, and it just means that I have like a personality and I see myself as an individual, and that I'm taught to see other women as, you know, being a certain way by gender. And so me as an individual, I don't see myself in there. So I'm like, oh, I must be special. But it turns out all women are special. And so are all men. We're all non-binary. That's why I don't fucking call myself non-binary. I never would.
Same.
Unless I was trolling somebody.
Same. I don't think there's been anything as successful as dividing the feminist movement as trans ideology. I honestly think that the phrase trans women are women is a psyop.
Oh, seriously. If you read, a lot of people think postmodernism is a psyop. But anyway, read chapter 4 of Transsexual Empire. It's like it was written yesterday.
Very interesting.
And it's talking about how, like, Janice Raymond didn't even want to write the chapter because she felt like trans arguments, like, within feminist circles was already getting too much attention. And was taking up too much of feminist energy.
When the fuck was that written?
1979.
Excuse me?
Yep.
So 35 years before this shit really kicked off.
Yep, Janet, yeah. TERFs are on it, man.
I'm fucking stunned. Like, that's genius. Like, more like Stannis Raymond now.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, globo homo.
Okay, so yeah, I would never call it that personally. I don't subscribe to the globo homo
yeah, but it's funny.
Like, conspiracy, but it's funny. It is worth questioning, like, where does this come from? Like, this can't be that good for profits. Like, seriously, progressive people are only like 8% of the electorate. And even within that group, it's a mixed group. So, like, I mean, I can understand, like, well, I don't know, maybe advertising is really cheap now, and you can just kind of make it, specific to a certain area, like,
right. It's like,
do they gay neighborhoods?
Yeah, it's like, do they really think that they're gonna lose a whole lot of business over this? Like, probably not. Like, I mean, like, okay, there was some talk that the NFL boycott over the Colin Kaepernick kneeling and, everybody else starting to do that actually had some effect on ratings. And the NFL actually responded to that, and there was, even more criticism of the NFL that the NFL was responding to it in the way that they were. And, it's just, like, branding and politics is this whole, thing. But for, branding and stupid genderist shit, that almost makes sense to me. Because, okay, this is conspiratorial, but...
Oh, I love a good conspiracy.
This is, yeah, me too. This is conspiratorial, but...
Well, I mean, I think we can take, like, a brief moment of relief that, like, all of this is happening. It can only be because, like, we're at the end. We're in our, like, the decay of the Roman Empire moment. And then you can get back to being extremely worried because we have nuclear weapons and our society cannot collapse.
Fucking nuke Uganda for misgendering, like, the Secretary of State or something. I want to do some dumb shit and people have to be nice to me about it.
I've seen a lot of pictures online, like, on Twitter, and I don't even know, like, who took them, what city they're from, if they're even from this year, but of, like, kids looking at, like, people taking their kids to Pride.
I saw that photo collection.
Just kids being like, what the fuck? Like, I would never bring my kids to Pride.
I've never been to Pride, and I have no fucking desire to.
Yeah.
The only way I would go to Pride is, like, I would just, like, sit back on a fucking chair and I would just be like, just laughing at ugly people.
What if somebody wanted to put you on a float?
Put me on a float?
Yeah.
They just put random trannies on floats?
I don't know. TERFs attacked. Julie Bindel.
Yes.
Was attacked after speaking some TERF shit, I'm sure, by a trans woman who goes by the name Kathy Brennan.
I don't know how legal or anything that is, but that pisses me off.
It must be, I guess it's legal. I mean, because the Kathy Brennan is a lawyer, and she is very quick to tell people that she plans on suing them. So,
wow.
But
yeah, go Kathy.
I love Kathy, but
Kathy
we may have some disagreements.
Kathy will be on the podcast
at
some point. She'll be on the podcast at some point.
Oh, so cool. But yeah, Julie was attacked by a trans woman named Kathy Brennan who has a fucking full-ass beard. And
I hesitate to say named Kathy Brennan. Let's just say named at Town Tattle.
Sure, yeah. Calling him. He. He's a dude. He's a man. Mm-hmm. He has a beard. He tried to attack Julie Bindel, but, like, TERFs are on it with security these days because we have to be. Yeah. And, like, you know what? This is the UK. I'm like, I know that I shouldn't be. I think sometimes I get a little, like, overly worried, but it's just my, like, thinking ahead thing. But I am concerned about, like, TERFs in the US, like, if they start organizing, like, because there's so many guns, and there's so many fucking, like, ex-military trans women who are, like, fucking insane.
And the trans women are into guns, A. B, I've heard the term armed trans women more than a few times.
Yeah, so, like, I am concerned that, like, a meeting of feminists would get shot up.
Pink News is trying to, discredit Julie Bindel, even though she was the victim, which is pretty progressive, wouldn't you say? It's kind of feminist, it's very,
this
very...
lesbian who's been fighting for, women's rights her entire life. Yeah, so they're trying to say, like, oh, Julie Bindel said she was attacked, but the security stopped the trans woman, so actually she wasn't attacked. But somebody pointed out, like, if somebody, like, that is an attack, that's by definition an attack. Once the trans woman, if that had happened, actually made contact, physical contact, it would become battery. And Julie never said that they actually punched her. She said he got really close. But the security fought him off. And I think at some point it took, like, 3 security guards to, like, take down this woman.
That person looks really tall to me. They look pretty lanky. So yeah. What's funny, I believe, okay, so the tweet here, which used to be the headline, but I think they changed it. It's still the tweet from Pink News. Julie Bindel misgendered a trans woman who she claimed, quote unquote, physically attacked her. Now, I just think that's hilarious.
Didn't he tweet, like, beforehand?
Yeah,
like,
he was like,
let's go
I'm going to
fuck
do
up
that.
Some TERFs. Yeah.
I really hate they keep using the screenshot from Tangerine of the trans woman dragging the woman, like, across town. But it's just that I think that's a great film, and I hate fucking seeing, people do that stuff. It's the same when people make, like, anime memes, like, that, like, just politicize things in their favor. It's like, it's fucking not relevant.
What's our next item?
The next item is, oh boy, this is just lovely. Transgender hurdler easily wins. Oh, shocker. NCAA Women's National Championship. So this is the most major win by a tranny in sports yet to date. Like,
why? I didn't really look into this. What happened? What is the details?
Well, it's the NCAA championship. That's a major thing.
Yeah, that is pretty big.
even though it's just hurdling, which nobody cares about, women's hurdling especially, but, you know, just, like, still, like,
yeah.
you know, so 2 years, Craig Tefler was, I guess, yeah, in 2016 and 2017, Craig Tefler placed in, like, the hundreds out of all the men. 2018 transitions. 2019 wins the women's national championship. Seems legit.
This is a positive for us. This is good for us. I mean, it's bad for the few women who are not able to, you know, because your sports career is pretty short and your college career is even shorter. And so it does suck for the women who are competing this year and maybe next year and last year. But I think overall, like, let this shit pile up. And, you know, just normies can't ignore this shit. They can't swallow this shit, even liberals. So keep it coming, trans women. Keep fucking yourselves over and making yourselves seem less like women.
It just makes me just so upset. Just like that, like, what is the mindset of these people that they think that this is okay? I don't even know. Is it I think it must be like a liberal feminist proposition that men and women are somehow equal in strength, and therefore, you know, this is okay. They're fucking not. Like, that's, like, if you look at, like, one statistic, like, any one statistic, just pick one. Just one. It'll tell you it's not true. It's like how dense would you have to be to think something like that? Just because you think it would be woke if women could fight men and it would be equal.
I think it's video games warping people's minds.
I main Cammy in Street Fighter.
Yeah, like the female characters can hold their own with the male characters, which would never be true in real life.
Well, they also have a lot of, like, you know, projectile moves and stuff, and like can manipulate their bodies, and like nobody can do a spiral arrow or a cannon spike in real life. If there's a woman who can do a cannon spike in real life, she could probably beat up Hulk Hogan.
Right. So what's our next item then? Oh,
poll. Women in Scotland want to retain single-sex facilities. Shocker. So
shocked.
And color me shocked. Women, you know, aren't all like the cuddly, nice to trans women. Oh, be nice to me, please. Oh, you have to be nice to me, please. Please protect me when we go into the bathroom. Can I pee next to you? Hashtag. Like. Just this expectation that women that women should fucking, you know, be supportive of trans women is just fucking disgusting. Like, if somebody the next time somebody tries to, like, condescend to me about this shit, I'm just gonna, like, just straight up be like, save it. Like, swear to God. Like, oh my, just Jesus Christ. But anyway, this is great news. Anyway.
Yeah, well, you know, there's, like, people who are reading this about this poll who are, like, crying because
they're literally shaking, Karen.
They're literally shaking because they didn't, like, now they see the true, like, colors of the place they live and how big it is and how oppressed they are. And it's like,
if I go into the bathroom, people aren't gonna look at me nice. In all seriousness, the bathroom shit is fucked up because we need more single-sex facilities.
We do.
Yeah, like, I don't want to... If there's only 2 available, I'm holding it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not... Well, it's not... I shouldn't be sorry. I'm not sorry about that. They should be sorry for not accommodating me because I deserve to take a fucking piss in public, too.
Sure, absolutely.
Every ugly tranny does.
Right, but ugly, I mean...
Well, I don't know.
Yes.
There we go. Dumb online shit.
We're here. Best part.
Oh boy, this lead one.
Fucking article.
I'm so okay. Oh my fucking god. I wanna go. Okay, what is it, Karen? Tell us what it is.
So an editor at Vox, is a trans woman and deeply relates to The Handmaid's Tale.
There's so much to unpack of this. I don't even want to say like my piece. Like, Karen, like what's wrong with this to you?
Well, for one thing, The Handmaid's Tale, if anybody has watched it, is it's
a show about women.
It's a show about women. It's a show about women being particularly oppressed because they are women, because of their female anatomy.
So he's just misread it like the fucking... I can't even understand how this person is a critic. The fact that they've misread that so deeply to have changed their entire identity around it. That is...
Well, sad. Yeah. And in some sense, I don't even want to, like, talk about it. Like, there's a part of me that's just, like, so... just so not grossed out, but like, yeah, I don't know what to call it. Like when you're just so fucking over it, like just over these men coming up with these just crazy identity things, to not deal with like their fucking whatever, whether it's a fetish or it's just like, having, feeling too fat or having problems with masculinity. It's like, do you not see that your ability to just become a woman and force everybody to like treat you as such is the fucking definition of male privilege? It's just, Jesus Christ. But anyway, I made a meme about this, which is like from the movie They Live. So like the guy's got his glasses off and he just sees the title of the article, which is The Catastrophist, or On Coming Out as Trans at 37. I love The Handmaid's Tale. And then I saw myself there. But when he puts the glasses on and he can see
instead of
reality.
Box, it says Cox also.
Yes. Right. You have it in front of you. What does it say?
Autogynephile ready to publicly indulge submission fetish after watching drama series about female subjugation.
Yeah, that's about right. That pretty much sums up this entire article.
Okay. I have something to say here.
Yes.
I do not know this person, but I know people who know them.
Okay.
So I have a connection here. They're in my milieu.
Okay.
When I saw this, I literally screamed, "No!" Because every time I see somebody who, like, I know or I know of buy into the trans cult, I there's so many levels upon which I get upset. It's not just, look, this person does not interrogate their misogyny to, whatever degree, or even say it's FTM there, interrogate misogyny as a whole to the degree I do, more than those women, of course. But, it's not even just that. It's just how horrible being trans is. And it's not even just horrible because, society is, like, I don't know, grossed out by transness or whatever. That's overestimated. It's how you feel in your head that you are not normal and that you want people to see you as normal.
Right.
And I understand there are, like, trans people who don't care about passing, but you still have to call them a woman and stuff. So
Right.
that's, you know, again, that's normalization. And it's just this entire mentality that we talked about this earlier, even in this cast, that you need people to view you a certain way and you're afraid that they're not. And if you have an ounce of decency, you believe it's your fault. If you believe it's their fault, you're a sociopath. If you believe it's your fault, your self-esteem, which is already in the fucking gutter from failing manhood so poorly, is, like, just even worse. Just, it's so fucked up just what trans ideology does to your own mind. And yet people think it is the path to happiness, because transition is sold as the only cure for dysphoria, not, you know, political realignment, not simply allowing yourself to be feminine, to wear makeup, wear dresses, etc. No, you have to socially transition, because that's part of, you know, the normalization here. You see femininity as womanhood, and therefore, oh, I must be a woman because I want to be feminine. Like, and that's just what this whole article is at the same time. Just it makes me so sad. So sad every new transitioner I see. And they're so happy at the beginning. And, like, they don't know, you know, like, that, you know, they're gonna feel they need FFS at some point, and their dysphoria is only gonna get worse. Excuse me. Because, guess what? This is obvious. This is so just clearly the case. Transition is the indulgence of dysphoria. It's not the cure for it. It's, you know, your mind telling you some fucked up thing about yourself, and that, like, your body would be better if it was a certain way, and so you just do that. Like, what? Like, I don't understand how this is different from anorexia. Again, like, people think it's harmless. It's not harmless to the body. It's definitely not harmless to the mind. Just this idea that it helps you. Luckily I see more and more trans people admitting that they're not really happier, that it didn't help. I don't know if they don't necessarily detransition about that. They, like, I don't know, just kind of live their life as trans. Like, well, this happened. Like, that was me even like a fucking year ago. And, like, I swear to God, like, that was probably me like 2 years ago. Now, okay, I don't want to, like, I don't like to toot my own horn, because I hate myself. Not a, you know, big-headed. I'm arrogant in some ways, but not, you know, and narcissistic in some ways, sure, but, you know, I don't like to think I'm that great, but
You're great.
Wish,
Go on.
Shut up, Carolyn. But I wish there was more people had a capacity to interrogate their own suffering as to why it's happening, and to not just keep placing so much hope on one solution that, like, that is just clearly not getting better. Now, for some people, I guess they might think it's getting better because their dysphoria, which, you know, it was like heavily trauma induced, is now replaced by this new person of their own creation, and they're happy with that person. I don't even understand that, really, like how you can really feel that different from the person you were. Actually, no, I do understand that. I do understand just this total divorcing of yourself from it, because I used to like hear like my dead name and be like, oh, I don't hardly recognize that anymore. Or like see old pictures of myself and be like that's just seems so far away to me. But even if it did seem that far away to me, was it really, is it really better now? Like, I guess like in some people, like this entire, you know, just like rebirth, and it's, I'm gonna call it like a gender neutral rebirth. It's like on a gendered axis, but it has nothing to do with, you know, necessarily gender being part of it. The only part of that is just that, you know, like there are certain things about masculinity that were not working for them because, you know, traumatic reasons, or, you know, essentially that. Because trauma, gender trauma, is universal. Everyone has it. Even the Chads and Stacys have it. Especially the Stacys. But they, you know, their new self is working better, and so they think that, you know, like, oh, you know, transition is great for me, blah blah blah, and, you know, just like, even though it's operating in a different way, it works for them because it's a neutral rebirth. And like, okay,
even in the old studies.
Yeah, real quick.
Well, I was just gonna.
Okay. Maybe that's gonna be fine for some people, but honestly, I swear to God, for the most part, like I see more and more trans people saying they're not happy, and we really need to stop fucking celebrating this and come up with another fucking solution for dysphoria. Like, oh, I don't know, gender abolition.
Sure. Yeah, well, I was just going to say, even if you look at, like, some of the kind of, like, a bit older literature on it, like, back when they were only transitioning people who obviously really, really, really wanted it, because it wasn't, like, mainstream. So it was, like, people who were, you know, very serious AGPs and very serious homosexual, transsexuals. And, like, even with those, and this would be people who go all the way to getting, you know, gender reassignment surgery. There was like a honeymoon period of like sex 2 to 5 years. Surgery. Sure, sex reassignment surgery. I guess they're not really getting their sex reassigned, but
yeah,
sure.
Well, certainly not getting their gender reassigned.
Genital mutilation. But they would, you know, these are the, you know, classic transsexuals, and you know, they had a honeymoon period, and then they shit gets bad again. And then it's like this idea that the only reason why trans people are so depressed is that like trans people aren't like catered to enough is just pathetic. But anyway, let's move on to the next thing.
Oh God, that shit drove me nuts. Like,
yeah,
just, oh my God. Like, I swear to God, I'm gonna see like the next one of my friends to transition, like,
you're gonna kill them first.
I feel like I'm gonna lose themselves. I feel like I'm gonna lose them because I'm not part of the cult, and
it's true.
Don't know, like, I mean, I'll gender them correctly and I'll call them their new name, but like, I just don't want to indulge their fucking fantasy in their head that they're a woman or whatever, and they're not gonna be happy with that. But guess what? Down the line, they're not gonna be happy being a woman, quote unquote. So.
Yeah.
But when that happens, guess what? I'm not going to be there, and it's going to be their own fault.
Oh.
I'm just.
Yeah.
It's very personally upsetting. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, that's why we come here, right? Like, to have our personal stuff. That's why we're interesting hosts. But
Cheers.
yeah. So, yeah. I don't know anything about this guy, obviously. I just know that Vox posts dumb shit all the time, and I'm not surprised that their editor is also posting dumb shit. But anyway, our next dumb online shit is
this is just a tweet that is stupid. All right. The difference, I think, is that as misguided as Nazis are, they do want to improve life for some subset of people and are trying to do that in a method that makes sense. TERFs just want trans people dead.
What is the method that makes sense that Nazis are using? Which seems like a strange projection
That
or like
TERFs
admission.
this is okay, to me this is just emblematic of how trans activists have no empathy, no purpose in understanding the female point of view. Yeah. They can sympathize more easily with Nazis than they can with TERFs. Now, I can understand, a white nationalist mindset. Like, it's not, it's a debatably productive one at best, but I don't understand what's so hard to understand about radical feminism, that it's so much more arcane to at least this person than
like the subset of
Nazi
people known as women
is.
Like TERFs specifically care about a very particular subset of people, roughly 50% of the population.
Also, Nazis, like, if we're talking about literal Nazis, they committed a genocide. So I would say that they want Jews dead and, Romanians and stuff.
Right.
Too, so
just want them dead. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, I know.
I know what, like, I guess, like, that Nazis for a while might have been like, oh, maybe there's a different way to solve the Jewish problem, but I mean, I don't know too much about that, but I mean, at the end they were like, well, let's probably just do a final solution, like, and so just this comparison is just abundant now. Like, punch Nazis. Oh yeah, we better punch TERFs too. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, can you define A, TERF? Can you define B, trans? So I can define Nazi. Like, I mean, it's I guess you can, like, be more broad with it, calling people fascist and shit. But, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Nobody knows what the fuck they're talking about. Like,
no.
I don't know. That's like that's part of the disease of postmodernism. It's not, and again, like, it's not like people will say, like, postmodernism sucks. I don't agree postmodernism sucks. I just think postmodernism is continually failed. Same thing with identity politics.
Yeah. So I think that, like, the Nazi thing, the TERF thing, I mean, like, in terms of violence, right? Like, the reason why, that it's okay to punch Nazis, right, is because if Nazis are allowed to, continue unimpeded, they will murder way more people, or they'll cause violence to way more people. In terms of, like, if we just look at, like, TERF activists versus trans activists, the violence committed is way heavier on one side. I wonder which side that is. The one with all the men.
What?
Shocking.
You're saying women can't be violent, Karen? That's pretty genderist.
I'm not saying that women can't be violent. I'm saying that TERFs have not been very violent, have they? And trans people, I see, sometimes claim that TERFs have driven people they know to suicide. But,
my
like,
ass.
you don't
ass.
You don't know the cause of somebody's suicide. You know what I mean? Like, you never actually know. It's never down to one thing that one person said or whatever.
Is the cause of their suicide, like, I don't know,
mean people on the internet?
Well, that's their fault.
I don't know.
I mean,
log off.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck is that tweet? Like, that Tyler, the Creator tweet. Like, ha ha ha, Megan, how is cyberbullying real? Like, Megan, just close your eyes.
It's a pretty funny one.
It's classic.
It is classic.
You can't get around it. It's an essential sentiment in our times. It really is.
So, a TRA,
male TRA identifies as a man.
TRA. Yeah, identifies as a man, not a trans woman, just somebody who likes to
bully TERFs online.
Bully TERFs on the internet, yeah, has been discovered to be a pedophile who is charged with soliciting minors. So, yeah, that's fine. It's not surprising. I mean, it's not fine.
I thought TRAs were, like, the
most
sunshine
moral people
of the
on
earth. Yeah, I mean, like, there's the most oppressed group of all trans people. They, love and shelter them. The small trans beings, are basically like children of Calcutta, and the allies are like Mother Teresa. It's like, oh, bless you, sir. You would fight a nasty TERF who called me a man IRL. You would punch them in the face. And like, no, seriously, like, those people would do that. And people think that's moral. I mean, do they? Like, and I understand, people are going to be like, oh, bad eggs or whatever. And like, I mean, like, I guess this isn't necessarily relevant.
Yeah, and I do want to say that, a movement is not defined by a few people, especially like a really big movement, and just some, like, this guy's some rando. He doesn't have any power within the trans movement. This doesn't define the trans movement at all, but it is yet another piece of just weird fucking sex shit among TRAs.
Yeah, I was about to say.
More important, the things that, are bigger are like Jess Bradley and other people, other trans women who are actually in positions of power, having like weird fucking sex shit going on that gets uncovered, and who knows how much we haven't uncovered. There's just weird fucking sex shit everywhere, and they're like, let us into your bathrooms, let me pee next to you, it's no big deal, why are you so afraid of us? It's like, because you keep betraying that you're have all this weird sex stuff on your mind all the time.
Well, it's just like Zinnia Jones said. Every trans woman could be a convicted rapist, and it still wouldn't excluding us from bathrooms.
Women's bathrooms, yes, it would, Zinnia.
Because they're women, like we need essentialist bathrooms, please. Like, what the, like, it's just, like, essentialist to what, Zinnia? Like, but anyway, it is like there's I don't even think, Karen, you understand the depth of the sexual perversity of trans women. Now, I actually stand sexual perversity. We're about to talk about kink in our final thing, so we'll get into that. But like sexual perversity is great until it involves raping children or anybody.
Right.
Yeah. And so, like, it's just natural that this shit is, like, gonna happen. On his Twitter bio, Bright states that he is poly/pan/pervy. Well, I guess he proved that, right? Yeah. So, I mean, okay, I understand, like, there's, okay, well, honestly, okay, let's go ahead and segue into Theory Sphere with Kink here.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, what I'm gonna say, to start this off, as a segue is, I understand that, like, radical feminists have just this huge critique of kink, and I want to know. I've never really expanded on this. This is why I wanted to talk about this specifically, is because now, okay, I don't want to say like, even a majority of rad femmes are political lesbians, or I don't even know if like rad femmes like even really accept political lesbians. I would,
not overall. It doesn't seem so. No.
yeah. I mean, like, 'cause I think political lesbianism is kind of dying, which is sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, just the association of political lesbianism with lesbian feminism, anyway, makes me think that there is a profound sense of sexual control among radical feminists. Or lesbian feminists. I don't really want to necessarily equate those things. I don't know too much, but I know that like they're at least associated.
Okay.
And I almost wonder if that extends to all women, because I do stand sexual perversity. I do. I almost wonder if I'm coming at this from like the macro male point of view of kinks being something you can't necessarily help, and if they're not hurting anybody, then it's okay to indulge them. This obviously did hurt somebody, but like we're I think past that.
Right. We're past that. Yeah. In general, we're just talking about like kinks in general. The radical feminist critique of kink and domination is really, really, really deep. So yes, a lot of women do kind of come off as sounding really controlling, but it's just sort of like, I don't know, to me it just comes off as kind of more like religious. Like, we know the truth and like you should act accordingly, even though not everybody else really, like, even on my meme page, like we'll make fun of like kinksters and stuff, and like we almost always get people coming in like, oh,
so don't yuck my yum. Hey, stop yucking my yum, you turf.
Yeah, like if there's consent, oh, you must be having vanilla sex or whatever. I feel like I'm getting off track, but it's like so fucking hot in this room. Oh, a porno is starting.
It's because you're there, Karen.
No, so radical feminists have a really big critique on porn culture, on porn itself, even without the cultural aspect of it, and how that's just spreading everywhere and normalizing pornographic things everywhere. But yeah, I mean, it's really a critique on domination, on sadism. I personally don't really care. People are into their sex stuff. I do think certain stuff, like, people should be kind of going, like, without, like, a fault, but, like, a responsibility. Like, I'm just going to think about this and if this is a healthy thing for me to indulge, because maybe it's not. And, if you keep indulging it, you're creating these patterns in your brain that are well worn, and your brain's going to keep going there, and it's going to keep making you indulge that out of habit. And if that's something that you don't want to grow, stop, because we do know it's not all men, but we do know that some men start with porn, for instance. They start with like really just vanilla basic porn, and then they keep using it, and it becomes a habit, and then they keep kind of reaching a tolerance, and they need to go find something a little bit more extreme to be aroused, and they find themselves continuously doing that until they're at child porn. These were people who never had any interest in children. So, if that can happen to some men, I think that means that it's happening a little bit to everybody. And I think that there's a lot of reasons that people should be critical of their own kinks and not just indulge every single fucking thing.
Mm-hmm. It's not even just the morality of the escalation of porn sickness. It's that it compromises a man's ability to perform and to have to have intimacy, and not even just that, but to care about a woman's pleasure and to understand a woman's pleasure, because it is totally it's very interesting to me that a form of media can have such a profound effect. Because
think about it. It's like you're taking it in at a heightened state. Like,
exactly.
When you're not watching, like, Handmaid's Tale, for instance, in a particularly heightened state like that, or anything else.
It's like you can even watch, you can sit back and watch porn,
casually,
just casually, like critically, like I do that with hentai a lot of the time, because it's very interesting to me to see like the extremes of sexuality that animation can expand to, like aliens and shit. Like, whoa, like that's crazy to me. That's very interesting. Like I'm not necessarily being horny to it. Like a lot of it is like just pure rape, and I'm just like, I'm not happy about that. But it becomes like part of the genre, and it's just like very just like, but anyway, what I want to touch on is how it seems not necessarily like, to me, you might have to play devil's advocate against me, Karen, because I feel critical of the swerf or whatever position. No, we're not talking about sex work, but the anti-kink position in radical feminism. Is that I'm not sure it's a super practical argument, because it seems to me a lot of the time rad films do have a problem with people even just having fetishes. Like even like renowned rad films like Sheila Jeffries, like I swear to God, like talk about like the intersection of transness and fetishism as if like the fetishes are like inherently bad because they're yucky. But it's not even just that they're yucky. I understand that radical feminists understand what?
No, it's not that they're yucky. I
mean, I was
you
about
should
to say.
no. Well,
no,
wait. Let me finish. So you should feel. I do think that you should feel some amount of disgust at the idea of a man pleasuring himself on the idea of your submission. I think it's okay to find that disgusting.
Yeah.
And so that's Sheila Jeffries has a long history of talking about sadism and its relation to, I guess you'd say like power dynamics and the submission of women. And so when she's coming at it with some disgust, it's disgust at the male thoughts of women and how the male, sees women and sees like that they're into being humiliated, and what's the most humiliating thing you can be? A woman.
Yes,
that should disgust women.
Okay. Yeah. I've learned something then. But yeah, no, I have the same view of autogynephilia, which is that it is definitely about humiliation of being a woman. I have that fetish. That like and that is.
But you're also thinking about it critically.
Yeah, but the way I'm coming at it is that I have this sense of things, because I don't want to like put too much blame on patriarchy, but I think feminism has to blame patriarchy for pretty much everything wrong, and like that's like the same way that women feel bad about their bodies because of patriarchy. I have certain views. I don't have certain conscious political views of women because of patriarchy. Like I'm hoping that I'm been as critical as I can be of that, or if I haven't been, then I'm looking to be more and more critical. I'd like to listen to women about those things. But I have certain, subconscious ideas, or at least I have at some point in the past, ideas about, the about something that would consider being a woman humiliating, and that feeding into a humiliation fetish. And so this ties into the other thing that I was going with, like, I understand obviously that just like these fetishes are not simply yucky, or that like radical feminists are being uncritical about why they don't like them. It's even though like you don't always get that context, or at least I haven't always gotten that context. But it's that they do understand
Kinksters.
them.
Do you know that? Like, a lot of TERFs are ex-Kinksters. Yeah, they were into BDSM. They were into, all kinds of shit. Yeah, I mean, not obviously not like the big wigs from like the 70s, not your Sheila Jeffreys.
Mm-hmm.
I think Sheila's been critical of that since forever, but like a lot of the, the women who transitioned from liberal feminism to radical feminism, they read some...
The only valid transition.
Yeah, it's not that they just do it to, fit in with the TERFs or whatever. They read some Dworkin, or they read some Jeffries, or they read some, other feminists and decided, like... I mean, that's the thing. Like, radical feminism, if you actually read these texts, it could just dramatically change even your desires overnight. Like, even... It's just a very transformative stuff, some of this shit. So
I believe it. Yeah. It has done a lot of work on my own psyche. What I want to say, though, still is I think radical feminists tend maybe to like see a kink that is influenced by misogyny in a man or a woman, and be like, oh, like, how dare you think that, even though everybody is influenced by misogyny. And radical feminists are
it may not be your fault, but it's still your responsibility.
It's eventually your responsibility, but you don't have the language to tackle that.
Sure. No, I mean, that you don't even get me started on, like, the process with which TERFs address people that, you know what I mean? I mean, it does become just internet scoring points. I think, like, if you were really face to face with a person, you wouldn't be so, like, imagine thinking that porn is liberating. You know what I mean? You would never say that in real life. You would be more careful.
The radical feminist position, whether they like it or not, is arcane. Because, unfortunately, women have been so marginalized that, true feminism is not understood, even by, I'm going to say it, the majority of women, I don't think.
It's true. It's true.
I understand it, on the other hand.
I think it's easy to understand. I think it's just a matter of exposure. It is easy to understand.
It's just a matter of accessing it. And,
it's an access issue for sure.
Just TERFs are, TERFs as opposed to radical feminists, because people have this such limited amount of understanding. And so this blame put on people for being influenced by patriarchy, I think is deeply unfair. And I don't think it's necessarily just a practical thing. I think it extends to the theoretical as well.
I don't think that's true.
Well, the way that I see that it extends to the theoretical is that, like, it almost seems like the belief is, if you have this, fetish, if you haven't interrogated it to the point I, have, then there's something wrong with you. And I don't think there's something wrong with trans people. I don't think there's something wrong with even me for having autogynephilia. It's it's the system that's fucked, man. Like, how was I supposed to, at any point in my, adolescence, when I was developing autogynephilia, how was I supposed to access radical feminist thought? And we're talking about, okay, I was male, I am male, but we're talking about me as a boy who had such, just, like, it's not just difficulty talking to women, but just I had this idea in my head that women do not want to be bothered. So do not even tell them if you like them, like, or have romantic feelings for them, because that is putting, like, emotional labor on them for your pointless sake. Like that is the level of, I won't say respect for women that we're talking about that
No,
I
yeah.
had,
No,
but
I mean, I
like,
do.
yeah.
Yeah.
So even then, like, I still had, these patriarchal ideas
Sure.
influencing my sexuality, as does everyone. I was going to ask about, I don't know if there are radfems with kinks or something, but you've answered that question a bit here.
I think, well, no, there are. I mean, I don't want to out anybody, but yeah, there are.
Ooh.
There are rad femmes with kinks, and
Are we leaving in that you're a female chaser, Karen?
right. Yeah, and I think that the criticism, or I think when TERFs are talking about, trans women's, fetish or whatever, and that the trans woman can't help it, that's fine. You got to think about it in the larger context, though, because it's like, here are these people who have a fetish. Okay, fine, people have fetishes. They want to take their fetish to the next level and bring it public and make us all part of this, with, like, where we're forced to consent legally.
Correct.
So, it's just the disgust is like, I cannot believe that I'm being forced to role play with somebody.
Yeah. That, now
potentially
I understand
very
that.
sexually.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but whenever I see radfems, like, just yell out, like fetishist, it feels just invasive to me. Like, you don't know that person isn't HSTS. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, sometimes
HSTS,
TERFs
like,
definitely get
you
it
can
wrong.
you can talk about the sexualization of HSTS, but it's not autogynephilia, which is a
That's
fetish.
a different thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So just, like, I feel as if, like, now, this is, of course, not all radfems, but it seems like an increasing number to me.
Well, have you ever, like, looked at the?
Or it's at least a lot.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, if you're going through these trans groups, or, like, if you're going through, like, trans profiles, like,
oh yeah,
it
no, I
does
understand that.
swiftly
Like,
become
that's a
apparent
horrible
that
time.
there's a big fetish thing underlying it. So
yeah, I understand.
Hashtag
that.
it's a fetish. Like. And
it's not always a
I don't know.
fetish. Sometimes people are HSCS, which doesn't necessarily mean they're valid, but like, they are just, like, so horny for men.
But yeah, so I mean, there's still a sexual motivation, right? It's just not one that concerns women.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not. Yeah, it has it's not of any concern to women.
When, like, radfems are like, oh, I don't care, like, HSTS is fine. It's like, no, that's still very dangerous to women.
Well, yeah, I mean, if they get pissed off, you know what I mean? Like, there's the physical thing, but not having that underlying sexual component, where they have a sexual attraction to women, and they're playing out a fetish, and also, like,
there's just so many different reasons why trans is bad than just it's a fetish.
Sure, but I mean, that's a big thing, though. I mean, that's, like, really offensive to women.
Yeah. It's
super disgusting. And, I lost my train of thought. Oh, well, yeah. So, somebody who has a fetish, who cannot keep it under wraps, is showing a huge deficit self-control. That should concern people. You know, that should concern women. So, you know, yeah. That's
okay. I'll put it this way. Autogynephilia is not the entire motivation for transitioning. Autogynephilia and failed manhood, well, not just that, but autogynephilia and let's say dysphoria are motivated by the same thing, which is failed manhood and gender trauma. So it's not, trans is not just a fetish. Trans is a reaction to patriarchal gender, and so is autogynephilia. So I honestly kind of think that radfems don't entirely have that correct.
Well, so I think you don't have it entirely correct. I think it's very much dependent on the cohort, because the autogynephile literature is mostly about people who transitioned before people even knew trans was a thing, actually get their penises inverted into neovaginas. So that's a specific group. You know, that's a different group than most trans women. 80% of trans women in the United States keep their penis and their balls. 11% get the orchiectomy or whatever, and like only 9% get the full neovagina surgery. So, you know, it's a lot of things. I think there's some people who are trans just because they have personality disorders. I think there's some people who are trans. I mean, yes, certainly the patriarchal stuff, that's everywhere. That's mixed in with every single reason. But, yeah, I mean, I think that it's not the Blanchardian thing that only works for people. I think we can only say that works for women who went all the way to surgery before trans awareness. And I don't think that
women who went to surgery?
Trans women. Men who went all the way through it.
Ooh, you almost gendered him correctly, Karen.
Shit. Yeah, but that doesn't, it no longer accurately describes the different people who come together. I mean, you can just sit in a trans group online and you can at least get a feel for the patterns of trans women who go online, who will be in Facebook groups, and there's a few different sets for sure.
Yeah. So I think they kind of are balkanizing themselves. At least, like, I mean, okay, AGPs don't really know what AGP is because they won't admit it's true. Unless they're like old sissies, then they might. And they also tend to like have like a more and more of a noob aesthetic, because if you're like an HSTS, you're already a gay man who likes to cross-dress, and so you probably have some, trans women friends, and so you're already part of the community, and so you're not going to be a cringy noob who's coming at it as a heterosexual man completely out of queerness.
Well, I mean, there have been straight cross-dressers forever, and more of them are.
I wish they were hotter, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I just mean like a lot of them are transitioning now, and they have some experience.
Not really in
the cross-dressing.
Yeah, but not in a community.
Well, no, well,
there's not really a straight cross-dresser community except for sissies, and like that is not a community that I want anything to do with. I don't think anybody wants anything to do with those communities except for just disgusting old men who just don't care.
Sure.
Yeah. Is there anything more to say about kink in radical feminism?
Well, I will say this. I will end with this. A lot of times I think something that comes up is where radfems have a really good critique of like sexuality under patriarchy, but not a really great solution, or like no solution or no ideas for alternatives. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately, and I'm probably going to write about it, but I think as cheesy as it is, the best female sexuality is probably that like like spiritual goddess worship sexuality. It's just like,
what about?
I think it's in there somewhere. It's definitely not in like, I like being called a slut. You know, it's in some kind of female worship space, and I that's just, I don't know, something to talk about later. I'm going to explore it more, but we definitely need to be presenting young women with, with an alternative, with this is what you should be telling your boyfriends that you want, or whatever, or like, not so demanding, but just like, this is what you could be trying to get instead. It's just it's really hard. I mean, the Dworkin book Intercourse is basically just like a super long book trying to figure out if there's really any way that you can have non-problematic sex under patriarchy, and I'm pretty sure I've only gotten through a few chapters, but I'm pretty sure the answer's no.
Yeah, well, I mean, is ultimately like, does she answer the question, does it matter? Because like that's pretty much just like the theological conclusion of what I wanted to wrap up about the blaming of the individual without the access to radical feminism.
I don't know. I guess we'll leave that to our listeners to comment on. Maybe you'll get chewed out for some of the shit you've said.
That's whatever. Maybe. I hope not. No, women, please be nice to me. I'm trying my best to be a good ally, and you're just so mean when I might just become an MIA.
Staying at 3 missed a lot, no, I roam your beef in the work, and the 3 that was up there now. We stuff for it, no, we get to the lady, get us net with a for it, but not it itself. They're working on our ups, not a shit, this face, and it's fake, and magic, the lies, don't fit, fast, fair with a pop, it must have surpassed, fell on it, by hammer, that feet of fair, so this made